Today, I wanted to make a tier list for EUIC that's completely based on my opinion. If you watched the recent Best Decks video for April, that was based on statistics, not my opinion, except for the honorable mention section. I wanted to throw in some decks that weren't getting the love popularity-wise. But yeah, today I'm going to rank decks for the European Internationals coming up this week, and this is going to be completely opinion based. I want to make that very clear. This is from my testing. I've been preparing so much for this event for my students, and also preparing a lot for myself for Orlando in this format. So been playing it a lot, been thinking about it nonstop, and these are my educated opinions on it. So in S tier, this is going to be, all tier lists are subjective to the how the creator is making them. So in S tier, I'm going to put the decks that I think are most likely to win the event or to make it to finals of the event in the Masters division. And it shouldn't be a surprise that I'm definitely putting Charizard up in this S tier for decks that are most likely to win the event. I think Charizard is one of the highest power level decks overall in the format, and I don't see any reason for it not to be a fantastic deck at EUIC. I think the two decks with the overall highest power level in the format are Charizard and Chi and Palbax Caliber. Although I won't be putting Chi and Palbax Caliber up here as a deck that I think is most likely to win the event, just because of its dependency on winning the coin flip, its slight consistency and reliability issues as well. So I'm just going to put the decks that I would be considering if I was attending EUIC, wanting to win the event. So the decks that I'd be considering if I want to win the event, Masters Division, EUIC, and decks I'll be watching from home that I think are most likely to win the event or make it into finals. Charizard, I think Lost Zone Box is actually very, very well positioned. I'm not going to rank Lost Zone Boxes separately. I think Lost Zone Box with Radiant Greninja or Radiant Charizard, they're both good. We saw the Radiant Charizard version that won the second late night last week with 4 Mirage Gate with Iron Hands with Spiritomb. I think that's also a great variant of Lost Zone Box. And then this last one that I'm going to put in the top for decks that I would be selecting with the goal of trying to win the event is actually going to be Pidgeot Control, Pidgeot EX Control. So this deck by no means will it be popular, but I think there's a lot of great tools in the format for control. We just got Hero's Cape, we just got Eri. There's also a lot of different cards you could try out, and people are typically not very prepared for this deck. Which means a prepared control player is going to have a very good time against opponents who are not prepared to play into this alternate win con that's different than most other decks around. So these would be the 3 decks that I would be choosing between personally if I was going to EUIC with the goal of winning the event, and also being able to pilot all 3 of these decks very, very well. Snorlax Pidgeot's kind of my dark horse, or kind of my oddball pick, I guess, to say, to put into S tier, just because it's not going to be very popular, which just right there gives it a lower likelihood of making it all the way to the finals, when we're going to have 15-20% people on Charizard, 10+% people on Chi and Pal, maybe 10+% people on Lugia as well. Those decks are going to have a better chance just based off of numbers, based off of popularity. But I think Snorlax Pidgeot is a deck that can actually win the whole event because of its power level and because of the options and the adaptability that the deck has. Similar reason for Lost Zone Box, very high adaptability. And then Charizard, just ridiculous power level. It also gets some help with this set from Maximum Belt. And also, I think Eri is a great card to play in the deck as well. The next level down, I'm going to put Chi and Pal. In the next one down, I definitely foresee a Chi and Pal making it into the top 8. I'd be surprised if Chi and Pal didn't see a lot of success, either, 1 or 2 in top 8, or maybe like, 5 to 10 of them in top 32. I think Chi and Pal is going to be pretty popular, and I also think, like I said, it's a very, very high power level deck, so I expect it to do very well. I think Lugia is also a high power level deck, and I'm going to put it here as well. Lugia, I'm not a huge fan of Lugia just because it doesn't give you a ton of control over the game as a player, and I think its power level is a little lower than Chi and Palbax Caliber, but Chinchino is the best single prize attacker in the game. Chinchino is, yeah, Cinccino is just a massive threat in and of itself. It's the reason why Lugia is going to be up here, because Archeops can just pile 4 energy, attach return, then Cinccino's doing 330 easy, even with a DTE attached. So, yeah, very high power level decks here between Charizard, Chien, Pal, and Lugia. And then, of course, like I said, Lawson Box and Snorlax Pidgeot would be two of my top choices if I was attending to try to win the event, because of their versatility and adaptability, and also how much you can influence the game based on your understanding of the game with those decks. So future hands, I don't really like this deck that much. It definitely farms Lugia, which is a thing, but it has a poor matchup into Charizard, which is the best deck in the format and probably going to be the most popular deck in the format. You know, this is the first tournament of this format for Western players, so it's not unlikely that we could see a deck like Charizard going all the way up to like 25+% if that many players want to fall back onto the deck that they already know is incredibly powerful, reliable, consistent. It can win events because we have proof of it, and players that have been playing the deck for a while. You know, I'm sure there's players trying out a lot of new stuff, and if that new stuff doesn't pan out, they could be coming back to Charizard. So Future Hands is just not the kind of deck I'd be wanting to go into the tournament with. Next into this next tier down. These are decks that I expect to see played. I won't be too surprised if they make top 8, but I'm also not I'm not putting money on it that they're making it to top 8. You know, like Lugia, Chi, and Pal, I fully expect to see these either in top 8 or having multiple like top 16, top 32 finishes. And then these decks, I fully expect Charizard and Lawson Box to be in top 8. Snorlax Pidgeot, like I said, won't be that popular. That I'm not going to be certain that it's making it all the way, but I know that it can. Great Tusk Mill, I think, is just a downgrade from playing Snorlax Stall or Pidgeot. So I'm going to put Snorlax Stall. Oops. Okay, perfect. It fixed itself. Good, good, good. I hit back or refresh or something by mistake. Uh, Snorlax Stall somewhere between here. I think Snorlax Stall could definitely make top 8. I don't foresee it winning the event. I don't think it's a fantastic play for the event, just because the techs that people are preparing with for Stall and Control are more effective against Stall than they are against Control, whereas the Pidgeot is the Control, the Snorlax is the Stall. Pidgeot has ways around things like Gengar, around Tauros, against Minior, whereas Snorlax Stall can definitely struggle with those things more. And if people are teching Spirit Tomb into their decks, Spirit Tomb shuts off Rotom V, so there goes Snorlax's entire engine. Whereas against Snorlax Pidgeot, if they can get a Candy Pidgeot down, even in the face of Spirit Tomb, they're probably going to be okay with that Pidgeot's quick search, whereas Snorlax is going to falter to the tomb a lot harder. Lost Box Charizard, like I was saying, I think it's really good, that first list from late night, but I don't have as much time with it to really comfortably put it somewhere. So I'm just going to say that it's in with Lost Zone Box, but I definitely expect the Radiant Charizard version to be way less popular than the Radiant Greninja version of Lost Zone Box. Gardevoir, I think, is like a fine deck, so I'm going to just put it in B tier. I don't expect it to do anything crazy, but I think it's pretty solid. This deck is definitely going to waver as lost vacuum counts go up and down. If lost vacuum counts in decks go up to 2 in any of the popular decks, Gardevoir is so done. But if decks are playing like 0 to 1 lost vacuums, then Gardevoir can probably hang. Golden Go, I think, is worse Chi and Pal, but it's still not awful. It's just worse Chi and Pal. Roaring Moon is still like decent. It can be aggressive. It can be pretty consistent at doing its thing, but it's still not a super high power level. I'm probably going to just toss this into the C. I'm going to put Arctina into B for sure. Super solid deck. It gains Airy, it gains Iron Leaves. Has consistency, reliability issues, so I'm gonna put it into B for that reason. And then Ancient Box is like, again, it's a fine deck. It's not like awful, but there's decks that are better than it. I think I'm just going to put it in B. I think it's better than these decks, but definitely not as good as these decks. Giratina Lost Zone Box maybe could come up to here. It has a good matchup into Charizard now, but it has an awful matchup against Lugia and pretty bad against Chien as well, so I'm just going to put it down here into B. And those are pretty much my thoughts for EUIC coming up. If there's decks that are not listed on my tier list, it's because I would be putting them into the D tier, or because I don't have enough evidence and experience to really rate them properly, and I'd just be putting them into the rogue tier, which doesn't really mean much. So these are pretty much my unadulterated thoughts on EUIC. Like I said, these are my 3 top picks right now for Orlando, which I am attending, and they would be my top 3 picks for EUIC if I was attending that. If you have any additional questions, leave them in the comments down below, but I just wanted to give my thoughts here on EUIC with this quick tier list today. Shouts out trainerhill.com for the tier list creator. Check out ways you can support my channel in the description down below. Make sure you subscribe for more Pokemon TCG content, and thank you for watching here on Celio's Network.